What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Quick pop-up real quick because I wanted to get this out for tomorrow morning. Not really concerned about the live. I just didn't want to shoot a video. It's easier for me to live stream the information and just let the replay flow for the weekend. But I wanted to do my second update because I told you I was going to continue to update as far as peak season is concerned. All right, so I did the first episode early this week. It's time for a second update. A subscriber sent me a news article about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, pretty much reiterating everything that I've been saying for a little while now. So we're going to play that. I'm going to dispel some more myths. As far as peak season is concerned, as far as the cycle of peak season, more analyst forecast, so on and so forth. I should do a poll. Because I know what the answer gonna be, but let's do the poll anyway. Let's do a poll anyway. Let's see. Start a poll. Let's see. Have you seen yeah. Let's do that, and let's say yes, and let's say no, and then let's start the poll. So I just put a poll up. Hit that like button, guys, as you come on in too. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button as you come on in. I'm gonna get straight to it. I'm not gonna be on here all night. Shout out to all my Hispanics. Not all my Hispanics. I take that back. All my Mexicans. You can't just say Hispanics. You gotta give them because this is their holiday. So shout out to all my Mexicans. It's Mexican Independence Weekend. They got downtown Chicago sold up. Luckily, I made it home from the barbershop in time before they blocked the streets off, because if they try to do anything like they did last year, they're going to be down here tearing things up. And they blocked the streets off, and I wouldn't have been able to make it home. So I'm not going nowhere because they out there acting like a goddamn fool. They got flags hanging out the back of the pickup trucks, flags all on the hoods of the trucks. It's crazy out there right now. So let me get into this peak season. All right, so this is episode 2 update. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Let's get into it. Let me remove this banner, and let's remove that one. Let's go over here, and let's go here.
Inside the trucking industry about impending weakness. The tender rejection level just hit an all-time low, surpassing even the lows of COVID. As truckers become so desperate for cargo, they're accepting basically any rate for any shipment. And my next guest says it could get even worse from here. Joining us is Craig Fuller. He is the FreightWaves founder and CEO. Craig, it's good to have you on today. Welcome.
A subscriber sent me this about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
I have to confess, every time I look at what you or others in the industry are tweeting lately, it's been a lot of bad news. So what exactly happened, and is it macro or is it industry specific?
Yeah, it is certainly doom and gloom. Some have described this as bad as the Great Recession. And I've even heard statements that there are folks that believe it will actually get worse than the Great Recession. So that just tells you how much pain is currently in the market. Really what's caused this is a classic boom and bust cycle. Trucking at its core is a commodity, which means when you...
What I've been telling y'all for the longest. What have I been telling you guys for the longest?
Have really robust pricing and robust conditions, you're going to have a lot of new entrants that enter the market to take advantage of that. And
that robust cycle that he's talking about was the pandemic, all the new entrants, that influx of people with PPP money, idle money, childcare money, PUA money, so on and so forth.
The bust cycle. So as really we've come off the COVID economy, sort of
bust cycle, boom and bust. It's what I always talk about. Boom and bust. We're in the bust cycle now. The boom cycle was the pandemic. A lot of free money, drove volume up, drove rates up. That's the boom. That's the bubble, the boom.
Round trip, the broader economic activity in the goods economy. What we've also ended up with is a lot more capacity than we had before.
I talked about capacity the other day.
That's super interesting because obviously that happens in commodities all the time. You get oil prices go to 100, a ton of people start drilling. Next thing you know, they're at 30, and everyone's debt go bad, and it goes bad. No one can recover. So, how much worse could it get? And is there a macro sort of warning point here, or is it just, hey, there were too many people who came into the industry, they all need to go out of business, but there's no larger business cycle implications?
Well, there's certainly that element of a trucking specific sort of run on it. Different between the oil sector and what we see in trucking is the barriers to entry to start a trucking company are just don't exist.
True.
It's very easy for someone to go buy a truck and get financing. Whereas if I'm going to drill for oil, it's a lot more capital that's involved, as well as I have to have those leases, which tend to go at much higher rates than what it takes to run a trucking company. So what you end up with is a market, because it is so accessible and there is no moat, it's very easy for people to get into the market. I think looking forward, and what this means for the U.S. economy really at large, is the goods part of the economy has largely slowed down. We're seeing that through a lot of the core sectors.
How long have I been talking about consumer buying behavior shifting? I've been talking about that since last year. How more people are buying services, experience-based services over goods. All right. If you're a box trucker, you are a service. Your business is a service, but the freight that's in the back of your truck are goods. All right. And when services outweigh goods, the less goods, you have high capacity. Capacity is space, right? On trucks, you got an influx of drivers with low goods because people are spending more money on services
that drive freight demand. But we believe, at least our assumptions and our assessments is that the freight market is telling us, if you sort of believe that the freight market is a leading indicator by about 6 months the broader U.S. economy, we believe that the broader U.S. economy is slowing down more so than what a lot of people recognize, simply because we're seeing such really soft freight demand.
Oh, sure. What about people who say, well, that's just because everyone's, in hotels and on airplanes and they're traveling to the Caribbean and it's all services now.
Hit that like button. Hit that like button.
Thing is over-exaggerated.
Well, some of that's certainly true. There has been a displacement in how consumers spend their money. But when you look at the sectors that drive a lot of the core parts of our economy, things like housing, and really the whole elements around the housing sector, that certainly is showing signs of concern, but really just discretionary goods consumption. Mm-hmm. I have a friend that owns a small liquor store. He's down 11% year over year, simply because people are not buying as much of these goods. You look at the cardboard box industry, they're also reporting a lot of challenges. And so certainly this is a goods challenge, or a goods part of the economy challenge. But I think it's going to play out in the broader part of the economy as these sectors slow down. There just isn't as much production.
It's like, but the Fed says, maybe we'll skip maybe we'll pause. I just feel I wish I heard a little bit more urgency sometimes in responding to these early leading indicators. That aside, the last time we checked in with you was actually after the collapse of SVB. And your firm was directly impacted by that. In a way, I'm surprised that, the industry more broadly hasn't been. But if you don't mind, just what's an update? How's it been for you the last couple of months, kind of navigating that incredible uncertainty?
Yeah, we were, as I told you on the last time I was here, that our board was able to advance us the money. SVB systems came up by Wednesday of that week. So we were actually not only able to make payroll by our own organic capital, but we also were able to access all of our bank lines and banking systems within.
All right, so I'm gonna jump into the next thing. So basically, he's reiterating everything that I talk about on this channel. And shout out to the subscriber who sent me this an hour and a half or two ago. I appreciate that. So maybe since this guy is saying it, people will take heed to it, because it's like when I say things, a few people grab it, and then the other people, it kind of goes in one ear and out the other, and people hold on to hope. All right, and this is business. This is not the hope. You can't hold on to hope in this business. All right, you gotta, the market is telling you what it's gonna be. All right. Once again, I told guys when peak season starts. All right. Different modes of logistics. You see your peak season at different times. I explained the reasons why, but let's look at something else. I want to show you guys something else. All right. Once again, shout out to everybody that's coming in. This is episode 2 of the peak season update. Peak season update. Okay. because a lot of people saying, hey guys, peak season is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. You're in peak season right now. This is peak season. If you are a trucker that runs the middle mile, this is your peak season. This is your peak season. Your peak season starts at the end of August, beginning of September, and it runs through November. The core nucleus, the core of your peak season is September and October. The stuff needs to be where it needs to be by the middle of November. The shelves need to be stocked. The warehouses and the fulfillment centers need to be full. The orders when they come overseas, that peak season, that mode of peak season is in July and August. Shipping containers were down. So if shipping containers are down, and this is September, which a middle mile trucker would see their peak season, the reason why it's so bad right now is because nothing came in via the sea, via the ocean freight. Same thing I said last year. Will there be? Let's get into this article, and then I'll continue. I'll continue to go. Shout out to everybody that's coming in. If you missed the first part of this segment, where the CEO of FreightWaves basically reiterated everything that I've been talking about for I don't know how long, damn near verbatim. Everything that I've been talking about, the CEO of FreightWaves pretty much said everything that I've been saying, damn near verbatim. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. Hold on. Let's pull this one up here. Where is this one at? Boom. All right. So in episode 1, I brought up analyst media trucking outlets from July articles, right? Because July is the first mode of peak season. This is when you start seeing the peak in ocean freight from retailers and merchants that have ordered for the holiday season in Q1 of this year and Q4 of last year, right? You start to see that freight start to come in and coming in via sea in July and August, right? It gets loaded up sometime in May and June, takes about 25 to 30 days to get here. You start seeing it arrive at the ports in July and August. That's when you see that mode of incoming containers go up, right? And then from there it goes on a rail car, and then September and October, going into November, is when the middle mile sees their peak in freight. And like I said in the live stream the other day, I got a video coming out tomorrow. I understand that a lot of people who follow content from content creators on YouTube and Instagram, and even the creators, haven't seen a normal peak season. I've been in the space since 2010. I know what a normal peak season looks like. I know the modes. I know when the volume increases in different modes. Peak season does not start in November, guys. Anybody that tells you that, I'm just going to leave it right there. All right, so let's take a look at this article. This article was written a few days ago, September 7, 2023. Trucking experts prepare for lackluster peak season. Remember, we looked at media outlets for the first mode of peak season, and those articles were written in July. So now let's look into updated articles that are being written for the second mode of peak season, which is the middle mile. All right, let's look at this article. Trucking industry experts are expecting a modest peak shipping season due to freight demand and inventory trends. My assessment is this is not likely to be a very gangbuster peak season. That Avery Rice, Vice President of Trucking at FTR Transportation Intelligence. I think it's going to be better than certainly a lot of people expected, which means it's going to be better than last year, right? It's going to be a little bit better than last year. We're going to talk about why, and I said why last year, but I'm going to tell you why it's not going to be good for you, all right? Where did I leave up? But I don't think we're going to look back at the peak season of 2023 and say that was a really good year. I think it's going to be fairly modest. Let's see. I guess I could read this. The Uber Freight Q3 market update and outlook report noted August 9th that a year-over-year increase in durable goods at 4.7 helped overall goods spending inch up in Q2. But looking ahead at the report forecasts weakness in the coming months because of backlogs and new orders from manufacturers. It also found retail and wholesale inventories are down year over year, excluding the automobile automotive sector, and that's something else I want to talk about too before we get out of here. But wholesale durable goods inventories remain high relative to sales. I would say last year there was no peak season, and I said that last year. There was no peak season last year, none whatsoever. And I said that last August. Last August, I said you're not going to see a peak season. It was non-existent. It didn't happen at all. This year we can do better than that, but I don't think it's going to be back to quote unquote normal. Remember, a lot of people that have entered the space in the last couple of years do not know what a normal peak season looks like. They don't even know when their peak season starts. All right? Your peak season, once again, let me pull this up. All right, right here, peak season, August through October, like I've been saying since last year. Preparation for the holiday season and back to school consumer demand causes freight volume and rates to spike. Holiday season is what you see in November, December. That's the final mile. That's the stuff that's going from the warehouse, the fulfillment centers, to the consumer's doorsteps, and to wherever else needs to run the final mile. You get some last minute seasonal demand, which is a lot of rush orders to restock shelves and things of that nature, but we haven't seen that. We're not going to see that this year. We're not going to see that. We didn't see that last year. You're not going to see that. All right. So for everybody that came into the space during the pandemic, I don't care. Even the content creators that like to watch and hide in the rafters and don't say nothing. Even for you, this is a learning lesson. If you're in trucking and you're a middle mile trucker, your peak season is now. Your peak season is now. If you're not seeing any increase right now, that should tell you that's your sign. All right, you can wish upon a star, you can hope, you can pray, but let me tell you something. The increase in volume of freight is not just going to come out of thin air. It's a process to it. Retailers have to order the stuff way early in the year, late last year. That stuff has to be manufactured. After it's manufactured, trucks need to come pick that freight up from the manufacturing plants. The trucks take it to a port. The port loads those shipping containers on a barge. It takes a voyage across the ocean rather. About a month. This is the process. You don't see an increase in, how are you going to see a peak season in November? How is all this millions of pieces of freight, millions of pieces, you're talking about Walmart alone, Target alone, millions of pieces of freight. You think this stuff just starts in November? You think all these millions of pieces are going to make it to where they need to make it to starting November 1st by Black Friday? Let's use our common sense. I know I'm the only one that's saying this stuff. I know I was the only one last year who said it, but the only one who told you what it was the one who won. I'm telling you it again this year. Take it from the guy who's been doing this since 2010. I know when volume increases for trucking. Why? Because I've seen it. I saw it in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 2020, 2021, 2022, there was no peak season. Listen to who you want to listen to. But if you have any common sense, stuff this doesn't fall out of thin air. And as many retailers there are across this country, big box retailers that order millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pieces, there's no way these items are going to start moving and just come from nowhere on November 1st and make it to where they need to make it by November 23rd. If anybody's ever worked in retail and you know October 31st is Halloween, Target has a seasonal owl, Walmart has a seasonal aisle. When those stores close at the end of the day on Halloween, that overnight transition team comes in, and when that store opens the next day, the previous day it looked like Halloween, the next day it looks like Christmas. The toy aisles are stocked. The seasonal aisle is full of Christmas trees, garland, Christmas lights. You have pallets of seasonal items for stocking stuffers in the aisles. You see the little shaving kit with the red and green packaging, that they don't normally sell. The rest of the year, it has the clipper with the 1 guard, the 2 guard, the 3 guard. You see the toolkit in the back, the seasonal toolkit, 36-piece toolkit for dad. They don't sell that any other time of the year. That toolkit was specifically manufactured for a stocking stuffer for the holidays. They price it appropriately to sell. They're not trying to hold on to seasonal freight beyond Christmas. It's seasonal merchandise. It's marketed as seasonal merchandise. It's branded as seasonal merchandise. The packaging is seasonal. That's why it's red and green. That's why it's sitting in the middle of the aisle and not in the middle of the main aisle instead of putting it on a shelf. They put it on end caps. For those that don't know what an end cap is, it's at the end of the aisle where you see the stuff that they're trying to move, the stuff that's on sale. The reason why they're putting that right there is because they want people to see it, because they want those items to move. Most big box retailers have most of their seasonal freight for the holidays by November 1st. I ran a Target. Once I graduated college, no one would give me a job. I cut my hair. I had braids back then. I cut my hair. I did everything to get a job. No one gave me a job. Target gave me a job as a manager, right? We started hiring for the holiday season in September. We didn't wait till November. Why? Because there's a process. We got to take applications. We have to do interviews. We have to train in preparation for the busy holiday season. We didn't wait till November 1st. Another reason we hired in September is because all the seasonal freight starts to come in September and October. You really get hit bad in October. So we had to hire many more overnight stock people, because instead of getting 1 truck a night, we were getting 2 in October. Why? Because that's the peak season for the middle mile. By November 1st, the back room was fully stocked. There's modes to transportation. Things have to make sense. Unlearn what happened in 2020, 2021, and the early to mid part of 2022. Unlearn it. If you continue to live in the past, you're never going to get ahead. I'm in a constant battle. Constant. With people who just don't know the industry. And I know it's me against everybody, it seems like. But I haven't been wrong yet. The CEO of FreightWaves is saying something that I've been telling you guys for the past year, damn near verbatim. So I know it's kind of hard to believe the one guy who's saying the opposite to what everybody else is saying. But the one guy has always been saying the opposite to what everybody else is saying. And the one guy has always been right. Why? Because the one guy has the most experience. Not only do I have the experience, I have the education. I understand micro and macroeconomics. No one challenges me on that. They do goofball stuff and throw cheap shots of goofy stuff. They throw stones and then hide their hand. No one challenges me on information. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. Why do people throw cheap shots about shit that don't even got shit to do with shit, but they don't challenge me on the information? Because my information has always been solid. I tell you what's going to happen months ahead of time. Because these cycles, these cycles repeat themselves. It's boom and bust. Why? I've seen it happen 2 or 3 times already. Maybe not to the magnitude of the pandemic, but boom and bust is boom and bust. It just was a bigger boom then and a bigger bust now. The bigger the boom, the bigger the bust. So let's get into the little increase in freight in comparison to last year. You know why, with that little bit of increase in freight, why you haven't seen any signs of peak season yet? Because last year there was no peak season at all. None at all. And I said that. The reason why you haven't seen an increase is because of capacity. There's still an overabundance of capacity. So with that little smidgen of a percent of increase, right? With all the capacity, it's just like throwing a steak to a pack of wolves. One piece of steak to a pack of wolves. You just toss the steak up in the air, and when it hits the ground, the wolves is going to swarm on all of them. So that little smidgen of a bun, which is not much. It's not much for over millions of truckers. It's not much. So that little smidgen of 4% or whatever it is, that increased competition is going to continue to drive down rates. It's not enough to satisfy the capacity, the overabundance of capacity. People are already taking rates just to get by, to survive, just to keep capital coming in. I've done testimonials. People have told you the rates that they're taking. They're not the only ones taking these rates. People are doing what they need to do to survive. That's why earlier this year, one of the main other reasons why I kept telling people to say, stop telling people to stop taking cheap freight. You're wasting your breath. It's competition. The spot market was built purposely to be competitive to ultimately drive down rates. When volume is low, the competition is going to get more fierce and drive down rates. And who are you to tell somebody what or what not to take? If a person needs to take whatever they need to take to get by, they're going to take it. And they're not going to give a damn what you have to say about it. So why waste your breath? Why waste your breath? If I'm hungry and I got to take something just to get by, to get me by through the next week, you think I care what you telling me? Because you're not going to put food on my table. I'm going to do what I need to do to make it to see another week. If I can take something that you may not agree with, but if that's going to get me to where I need to get to a next week, and I can hope and pray that next week is better, then I'm going to do it. And that's what a bunch of people are doing. So who are you to tell somebody what to take and what not to take? So that little bump of increase, you see, it's just gonna be like a pack of hungry wolves. It's September. We ain't seen it yet. You know why? It's out there, but it's so much capacity that you're not gonna see it. That's the point. This is your peak season. This is what I've been trying to tell people for the past 2 years. You're in your peak season now. People was waiting all the way to damn Christmas Eve last year waiting for peak season to start. I'm like, yo, peak season is over with for middle mile trucker. What are you talking about? It's November 15th. You talking about peak season. Your peak season was over with 15 days ago. But, I understand a lot of people haven't seen a normal peak season. They don't know the cycles of peak season. So once again, here I am in 2023 telling you the same thing I told you in 2022. And once again, I have a plethora of other people that are in the content creation space that came into trucking and influencership or whatever, if that's even a word. And they talk about these things because they came in 2020 and 2021 and the peak seasons that they saw, they think that's just the way it is. No, it's not. It's not like that. Something else let's talk about. UAW went on strike. So all those auto parts, all that auto part freight, that's finna come to a halt. That's finna come to a halt. You got GM, Ford, Stellantis, which people that older know it as Chrysler. They're on strike now. So all that auto parts freight and the UAW ain't budging. They've been real sticklers at the negotiating table. They ain't trying to hear nothing. Ain't no telling how long. Like, the manufacturers and the UAW, they're so far apart right now, they're not even remotely close to coming up with a deal. They're so far apart, it's pathetic. So now you're talking about a whole industry of American-made car parts. Mm-hmm. Yep. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. So I've been trying to tell people to prepare for this. An exodus is coming. The second phase of the exodus that I've been talking about, that I talked about last week, is on the horizon. When was the first exodus? The first exodus was during peak season last year. Why? Because people that have been holding on for dear life, that were wishing upon a star, well, when peak season gets here, I'm going to run it up like I did in 2021 and I'll be able to, recoup some of my losses and then I should be back good. No, you're not. If you're waiting on peak season, if you're struggling now, it's only going to get worse. So this next exodus that's coming up on us, which is going to be a healthy exodus. And when I say healthy, it's because it's going to be needed. Now, there's going to be someone out there that's going to fall victim to this exodus and they're going to be mad at me saying this, but this is business. I don't have feelings or emotions or nothing like that when it comes to business. It is what it is. It's going to be a healthy exodus. It needs to happen. It's going to happen. How do I know? Because I've seen it before. You have a bunch of ill-advised people that get into an industry during a boom phase, that invest into something that they don't fully understand. And when the cycle shifts to bust, they can't sustain. They can't sustain. So it's needed. There's going to be people that watch this, they're going to fall victim to it. It's unfortunate. But it has to happen to keep the wheels turning, because eventually it's going to go back boom again. It's not going to happen anytime soon, especially with next year being an election. people with money and assets hold on. Why? Because there's a lot of FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's a lot of uncertainty. People with money don't spend. I prayed at this. Listen, I'm on my knees praying. I need it to crash all the way. I need the stock market to crash. I need the crypto market to crash. I need the housing market to crash. I need everything to crash. Why? So I can go on a shopping spree. Because people who are smart buy during economic collapses. We buy low and we sell high. We leave the suckers holding the bag. When you buy an asset, you bought it from a seller. When you sell an asset, you sell it to a buyer. The key is to buy low and sell high. I sold trucks to suckers during the pandemic. 9 times out of 10, they're not doing good right now. They're left holding, we call that left holding the bag. Because they invested into something that they didn't understand. It's unfortunate. There's 41 people in here, 14 likes, because what I'm saying is so real, people don't want to hit that like button. It's the truth. I haven't told you anything wrong yet. Been on YouTube since April 22nd, 2022. I have yet to be wrong. It's not that I'm just the smartest guy in the world. Just I've been around the block for a long time. And I understand business. I studied business. I have a degree in business. And this is why people throw little, I almost said the alphabet word. God forgive me. Mark, don't let the Chicago come up out of you. I'm online. I'm educating people. Don't let the street side of you come out. Keep it educational. Woosah. I'm in a constant battle with bringing people the correct information. I'm in a constant battle to bring people the correct information. I got a Dr. Umar Johnson. One more time. I got to repeat it 3 times like Dr. Umar. I'm in a constant battle to bring people the correct information. Why? Because I have a moral compass. I'm not going to get up here and tell people things that I don't know just to make content. You know how I get off? People like, Mark, why you don't do mentorships? And I say the same thing every time. I don't need the money. And I enjoy helping people. Trucking, everything that I have from other lines, streams of revenue, other businesses, assets, moving and final mile have provided me. I tried other businesses prior to trucking. They didn't work. The trucking is what ultimately took me off and then provided me other opportunities to start other things, right? I would be selfish if I've seen success in something that the good Lord has blessed me to see success, and I don't share this information. I don't like battling with people But I see that it's necessary now. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the reason why a lot of these people are going to be ultimately get caught up in this second wave of second exodus is because they were misinformed from the start. A lot of people say, Mark, I wish you were around in 2021, 2020. I don't. I'm glad I wasn't on YouTube then. I'm glad I wasn't. You know why? Because I wouldn't have stuck around. If I would have been around with all those people that were just out here for the money grab, I wouldn't have stuck around for that. God put me in the position at the right time when everything was coming to a halt. So, the second episode is just to give you guys another update on peak season, to reiterate that you are in your peak season right now. This is your peak season. This is your peak season. Anybody that's really in logistics, that knows logistics, they'll tell you, when is the trucking peak season for Middle Mount? Well, you're in it. You're in it. This is it. So I'm going to go on a Nana Boo Boo. All right. I'm going to go on a Nana Boo Boo parade again this year when it's all said and done, like I did last year. And it's not for the individuals. It's for all the people who are giving misinformation. I'm going to go on my Nana Boo Boo. Since people want to play games with me, I'm just going to destroy people with information. And we'll see who's smarter. We can see who's smarter. All right, I think I'm done. I think I came, I said what I need to say. I proved my points. And I think anybody that's wise is going to adhere to it, and they'll have a successful peak season. Now, I'm going to probably talk about the negatives of not seeing a peak season maybe once or twice more. All right, maybe one more going into, probably one more this month, and then in October. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start telling people how to capitalize. It's not going to be in the middle mile, though. Just like I told you last year, it wasn't going to be in the middle mile. I said it's going to be in the final mile. And it's not going to be in big and bulky. It's going to be in small parcel. It's going to be in small parcel, and it's going to be in the gig apps. I told you guys that last year. Why is it that guys that were running the gig apps last year were making over $1,000 a day when these guys with these big 26 footers were going out of business? How is that? Because the freight is already where it needs to be. People are buying it from the fulfillment. It's coming straight from the fulfillment. It's coming straight from the warehouse. That's where you're going to see your uptick at. Why? Because that isn't oversaturated. And you're going to get a mix of frivolous goods mixed with essential goods. I said it last year. I'm looking at Roadie, Fanatics. I'm looking at $500 routes. 15 stops within a 15, 16 mile radius. 15 stops in a 15 mile radius just to deliver t-shirts. $500. 3 hours. Each t-shirt weighs about 2 ounces. In your car. I showed all the proof last December. That stuff ain't coming from China. Those shirts are manufactured right here in the good old United States of America. They're coming straight from the print press, straight to somebody's back seat, straight to the consumer's doorstep. You're going to see your peak in the final mile in the form of small parcel. I'll take a few questions and I'm out. Steven Sell, which gig apps would you recommend for 16-foot box trucks? Sign up for Roadie, sign up for Ghost Share, sign up for Curry, sign up for all of them. But really pay attention to Roadie, really pay attention to Ghost Share, really pay attention to Curry. All three of those was hot last holiday season. All three of them. Astor says he hears a lot of Sprint cargo events been getting repo. A lot of vehicles have been getting repo, period. Mark, stop beating yourself up. People just don't have investing interests like you in the trucking business. I'm not beating myself up. I'm not beating myself up. It's a constant battle. It's a constant battle of good information versus bad information. And I'm not speaking to specific individual. I've seen, these peak season, just, you just start hearing it, and then everybody, thinks it starts, it's just, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Subchuck says this year has been a wash. Axel says carrier verification is coming. Yep. Amazon has already started. Christopher Campbell said he's finna start a new startup, mobile stripping service. He's gonna get a stripper pole installed in his truck. It might be a good idea. Matter of fact, you cut the walls out on the side. I think I've actually seen that before. You cut the walls out on the side, or you cut a hole in the wall, put clear plexiglass on both sides, all three sides, put the stripper pole in the middle, tile the floor out, put some neon lights. I seen that somewhere before. I don't know if it was Vegas, but I did see that before. Axel says UAW screwed him out of a load today. Christopher Campbell said we need the Thanos infamous snap to get rid of some of these owner operators out here. It's coming. Paul Smith says that's because we don't study it like you. I tell you one thing, Paul. If you're in trucking, you should study it. I don't really study it like you think I study it, because I already know it. I already know the cycles of it. I understand macro. I understand economics. I understand supply chain. I understand supply and demand. I understand boom and bust. I know the 5 stages of a bubble. And when you couple that with experience, you become a dangerous individual. So if you're in trucking, you need to study it. You need to have a advanced amount of knowledge. I say it all the time. People invest into things they don't understand. In order to understand something that you're investing in, you have to research and study it. So you should be studying it. You should want to gain the knowledge that I have so that you know how to maneuver, so that you know how to forecast, so that you have longevity. You want to have longevity. You don't want to be like some of these people who didn't last 6 months. I know people who were subscribed to me that didn't last 3 months. This ain't no game. It's the real deal. This the real deal. Holyfield. So I just popped on. I just wanted to get that update. And I'm going to continue to do my little updates. And I like popping on in the middle of the night when there's not a lot of people watching. The replay can, people can see the replay. But just be aware, right? Tighten up. And keep your eye on the prize. Axel says he's going to war. Okay, well, I don't know who you're going to war with, but good luck with that. Good luck with that. All right, so is there any more questions? Have you seen signs of peak season? One person said yes. Everybody else said no. So the one person, okay. One person said yes. Everybody else said no. So 83-17. So maybe that's 2 people. All right. Any more questions? If not, then I'm going to see you guys, I think, Sunday. Yeah. All right. Yep. So I'll see you guys Sunday. That's the one hater that hits the thumb down. No, I ain't. That hater ain't been in the room. I know who that. I found out who the hater was. I had my anonymous buddies go on here and let me stop talking because I don't want to incriminate myself. But I actually, I didn't never talk about it. I found the hater, and since we found the hater, he ain't been back to hate because I made sure I got a message to him with the picture using his webcam showing him in his crib on his webcam, and he shitted bricks. I actually got the damn picture of him too. Hold on, let me show you this fool. Let me explain something to you. I gave a warning. He ain't been back since. I gave a warning. He kept playing with me. So, let me pull this picture up of this clown. Doo-doo-doo. All right, let's blow it up here. Let's move it over here. No, let me close this. Escape. Doop. Let's blow it up here. Boop. I'm telling you, people better leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Don't mess with me. Let me do my little content. I ain't bothering nobody. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Look at this goofball. Look at this goofball Jamal. Look at this goofball. Hey, man, leave me alone, man. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm him for real in real life. A little money. That's all it takes is a little paper. A little paper will get anything. Shout out to my anonymous buddies. Ain't nothing but a little paper, little short paper, short paper to me, man. Short paper. I told you, the man ain't been back. You see, ain't no problem. I said, like, keep playing with me. I'm gonna get my anonymous buddies, and y'all know my anonymous buddies. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. All right, I'm out, y'all. Peace.